the city code, does it say?
It just says petitions for.
That's what I thought.
And then the rules kind of outline what the petition is, but the more the petition for what was always just that.
You're now.
Right, we'll bring this meeting, the Westminster Planning and Zoning Commission to order. First item of action, we need to do it in four actions. I believe we have 4 minutes to review and approve. So,
We can approve all of them at once.
well, if you, if we can.
Our attorney is shaking her head.
All right, are there any comments or questions on any of the four?
No, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion for approval of the 4 separate minutes.
No motion. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Item A. Under the northeast spot.
Yes, hi, thank you. The first thing we're going to talk about is development plan S220044, which is Northeastern Supply. The applicant is requesting site plan approval to construct a 15,052.5 square foot, 1-story office and warehouse building with a contractor equipment storage yard. There is a map in your plan, but we also have one on the screen as well. The property is marked with a star here right along Magna Way. And here is the layout plan. Right back here will be the contractor equipment storage yard. There are gates that are here as well as in the front. This is going to be their parking area. And this is their landscaping plan.
That's right beside the integral components, right? Yes.
I'm sorry, I had to think about that first. Oh, yes. We worked with the applicant to go over some differences that we had for different thoughts that we had for their elevations. So the applicant was able to do a bump out right here on the front, as well as do an extension of the masonry on all of these, these 3 sides. We have the windows as well. All of this is what helped us make it more applicable to the design preference manual. So this one I also just wanted to bring to light that it did get a special exception in April of last year for the equipment storage facility. And it does require 200 gallons worth of water, and it is part of the process that we're moving forward with the water and sewer allocation policy that the mayor and county council are currently looking at. The water is not currently available, but will be available at the time in which it's ready to go for building permit. So we have here a recommendation that staff recommends that the commission consider conditional approval of the proposed site plan. And that is that they address all of the city comments prior to the submission of the signature set. And if there are also any additional county comments as well. Since this submittal, we have not yet fully looked at the landscaping, but if there are any landscaping discussions that need to happen, that can happen at the staff level and doesn't impact any decision that you guys have.
If I can add to that, we've reviewed the landscaping. They were deficient in some locations. We met with the applicant and then landscape architect and resolved what we believe the additional landscaping would resolve and meet the requirements of the ordinance. They are showing that, but we still just have to ensure that it does. But if the landscaping did change consistent with that meeting.
And according to their new plan, they don't have any deficits anymore in any of the requirements for landscaping. So that's why we were comfortable bringing.
Yeah, representative.
Kugler with the LFI. We agree with the staff's recommendation. We're okay with that. For those who may not know, Northeastern currently exists in the airport complex. They're currently leasing from Jeff Pettis or his operation. They really just want to own and build their own business Right now, they're leasing 10,000 square feet. This will be an upgrade to 15,000 square feet. And the biggest component, with their own building and land will be, they'll have much more outside, material storage area, and room, more room for deliveries and pickups with tractor trailers and delivery trucks. So, it's a great operation for them to, expand and be in control of their own destination at this point. So
When do they plan on starting construction? About how long is it going to take to get in there? Out of curiosity.
they would, well, as soon as we get all of our approvals, I think they plan to start ordering material. And whenever they can get through the PWA process, they already have a general contractor lined up who's been bidding everything right now. So, if they could start this winter, that would be great. How long it'll take them to get open, I don't really know the answer to that. I was
Very good with a 6-month build or a 12-month build or just curious.
I don't have an answer to that, but I would, just, well, as soon as we can get in the building, we'll not. Not a real complex building, so hopefully it's minimum weather conditions.
I think the elevations look nice for a commercial, building. It looks nice. So.
Questions? Comments?
Okay, well then, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion that we conditionally approve the site development plan S 220044 pursuant to the City of Westminster zoning ordinance article 25 and based upon the July 20th, 2023 staff report and the conditions of approval, which are just, it sounds pretty administrative and just a little bit of cleanup related to landscaping, just making sure all the comments have been addressed. So that's my motion, along with that. Thank you.
Move in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
And you're under no obligation to stay. Say it's a pretty building.
If you stay here, I'll be here.
You're welcome to stay.
That's the good stuff.
Sorry about that.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Right, item B. Site development, State's Attorney's Office.
The applicant is requesting site development plan approval for S 21003. Construct a 39,874 square foot office building for the state's attorney's office. 209 Greenwood Avenue. So right here is 209, just to let you know, to give you some perspective, this used to be two properties, 209 and 207. Since the plan has been submitted, the two have been consolidated. Also, the properties have been annexed fully into the City of Westminster. There was a portion that was not. And then we've also gone through an administrative adjustment for this property as well regarding parking. And that's, you can see the blue stars here. The requirement of the zoning code was that parking had to be within 300 feet of the entrance. And because it was more campus setting or part of the Carroll County government and courthouse complex, that parking, it was not possible. So here, just to show you some of the parking spaces at this time. So here is the site plan. It is 3 stories and also a basement as well. The basement will have about 7,000 square feet of storage in the basement. And then the rest of the floors will be for office. Here is the final landscaping plan. Because there's no official parking on site, this is a very minimal landscaping plan. One of the things that you'll see in the staff report, as well as our recommendations, or part of the outstanding issues, is that because the parking situation in the site plan was not shown how they're going to meet parking. We believe that the parking is there through administrative adjustment and everything like that, but we just don't see it yet on the plan. We also can't verify that the landscaping requirements have been met. So that's something that you'll see in the site plan as well. We have the proposed elevations. And this is all in your staff report as well. If you can't see, sometimes it's a little hard to see up on here. But one of the things also I wanted to bring to light is that there's a side on here that says future parking. And so that go back.
Maybe go to that, yeah, and then we'll come back to the
So-
elevations.
Right here is the cemetery parking lot. And if I say anything that is incorrect, please help me.
No,
So it is in under contract, I believe, for 8 to 10 more years of use. And then at that part, after that, the parking goes away. So there is a plan at some point to do additional parking. And that's where it says on one of the elevations, it does say future parking on the north side. You'll see right underneath here. And so just wanted to bring that to light, that parking area will be going away.
Can I,
So just, oh, I'm sorry.
how many employees do you have? 52. Most of the big demands is gonna be your employee parking, right? And they'll
Right.
probably park across the street.
Right, and I mean, they're gonna park pretty much where they park now, it's, we're just moving, cat corner, half a block away from us, and we're not adding staff by going to this new building, it's the same number of folks.
This was like I think it was the old Bear property, right?
That's correct.
sir.
So just for further clarity, the last page of the attachment that you all sent us shows like a future campus plan. And it appears that, so my understanding, just for my own edification, is the Westminster Cemetery lot, there's currently a lease on that. But in theory, after that lease is up, it's gonna revert back to the cemetery. And that's gonna become the main parking for the campus. And I believe, has there not been some discussion on the county commissioner level
There has been
about a garage? Yes, I remember that we talked about in their budget.
Yeah, they took that issue up in the budget cycle. I think they put some planning money in the capital. $40,000 in the capital budget for planning purposes going forward.
To study to figure out whether they need it
Right.
or not.
Feasibility,
Correct.
what it would cost and all that stuff.
And that study, if I may, that study's underway.
Right.
One of the first things that was done in that study report is the traffic consultant came out and did parking analysis of all the different areas where county staff parks, governmental staff, court systems, and they are now putting that information together in a report. And that's part of the overall study to look at the parking garage. So,
Just correct me if I'm wrong, it's not necessarily a foregone conclusion that a parking garage has to happen, right?
No.
It's just a possibility, because there could be, I mean, there are a lot of different county owned properties there. Depending upon where you put what parking where, you might be able to make all the math work.
Well, I think that's part of the reason why they're doing this study, Dan, is to see if there's justification for building a parking
Yes.
garage ultimately.
Yes.
Is there any, is it a foregone conclusion that at the end of the lease they couldn't extend it? I was on the cemetery board when they actually did that, and it was land that was not, they didn't think they would ever use.
Yeah.
It was George Billingsley was the driving force there, because it made money for the cemetery, which they were looking for,
Right.
and it provided for the county's need.
I don't think there's any reason why they couldn't extend that lease
I'm just saying,
if the cemetery was of mind to.
and Andrea is correct, the lease is a 10-year lease. And I think we're into the first year, maybe one in second of that 10-year lease.
So the county's gonna look at, for our purposes, the big point is we just need some sort of documentation that existing wise, there is the parking there. Because at some point in time, you know, one way or the other, the county's gonna have to make sure they have enough parking, correct?
Sure,
You know, or they might be.
but for us, it's 139 spaces.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how many you in theory need.
I mean, that's more in excess for our operation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
we only have 52 folks.
And we don't get that
We have-
many visitors.
Yeah, we have a few visitors.
That's what I was gonna ask. You have a lot of,
Now,
Not
a lot of walk-in stuff.
we do, we're in the courthouse annex now, so we get some, but like I said, it's a handful a day. And they don't stay, it's transit.
And I will say, obviously, the 139 parking spaces is based upon the square footage of the building.
Yeah,
One of the large areas in the building is a large conference room. Currently in our office, we don't have anywhere for all the employees to meet. So theoretically, we'd have folks that work in a certain area go meet in a conference room. Or we have, you know, bi-monthly kind of office meetings. So that is where you get a lot of the large square footage from this building, is that large conference room that accommodates our office to all meet as one.
Right, and training and other things. So,
Yeah.
Could the new building house more employees than that?
Sure.
No, it seems like the number's too high, the requirement, but you could put a lot more people in there than need. There's room for growth in the building because one of the things we have is body worn camera stuff and it's always growing, so we have plenty of room for growth. So.
but I wouldn't anticipate, at least in the next, you know, near future, that it would be anything and, you know, relative to significant growth. I think it would be minor. growth.
In the last budget cycle, we got approved for 3 new positions and we had to fight and scratch for them, so I don't foresee our office ballooning anytime soon.
Now,
But our parking standards are, our zoning parking standards based on square footage. It's not the number.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's square footage or number of employees, which is ever greater.
Number of offices, so the number of offices or square footage, you know, greater than 2.
not sure.
But it's like 4 per thousand, right?
4,000
Something like, yeah.
or 2 per office.
Or 2 per office, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so that's one of the issues, but we have that under control.
Yeah, the administrative adjustment provided all the data. It provided a number of counts of parking spaces that demonstrated that they could meet the requirements for parking for this, either through the cemetery lot and the property to the north, and with an expansion of the parking lot. The site plan itself just needs to show those parking spaces, because that's demonstrating compliance with the ordinance. We have confidence it's there and through the administrative adjustment, otherwise I would not have approved that.
Right.
Because they could demonstrate the parking's there. So it's just, the site plan just has to name and show us that these parking spaces are to be used for this use. That way, if anything further develops out and using those parking spaces, they would have to then readjust this plan to demonstrate compliance with the ordinance.
Gotcha, because in theory, they have enough parking for their other uses or other.
Yes,
buildings there.
that building to the north is minimum use, minimum parking needed for it. That's way overcracked. That's
Okay.
so they have plenty available. And again, there's also the plan for the sheriff's office would be in this location as well, with the parking structure. That was all talked about as well. Just add to that campus setting. I would think over time, we could certainly look at, this is beyond this plan, a lesser parking rate where it's more of a campus type of parking, which we don't allow now, but through an administrative adjustment, other means, we can provide a more realistic parking. So again, there's no concern that it's there, just the plan has to show it.
Where is, on that map, where is the sheriff's office in theory supposed to eventually go?
If you would go down Greenwood towards Manchester Avenue, where the old North Carroll Communications building currently sits, from that building going, I guess, easterly towards Manchester Avenue, it would be along the frontage of Greenwood, along that.
So it's gonna be along Greenwood as well.
Correct.
Okay, that's the plan.
essentially next door.
So does Staley's Body Shop go away then?
They're still negotiating.
Okay.
We would like them to go away and transmission too.
Right.
That would solve some issues.
So is this project, is it funded by the state or county?
County.
Fully funded by the county. They were constitutionally required to give us a place to hang our hat.
And of course, once it's out of their.
Yes, they would have evict us.
So we're trying to accommodate them.
Well, if in 10 years, the cemetery parking area goes away, do you then have to relook at the thing to replace those?
Well, that's the concept. They'll show like an overflow area. If they lose that in 10 years, they will demonstrate, we'll have to add additional parking at
Okay,
some
that's
point.
what-
So that's why, so that all that needs to be flushed out and shown. on
But
the
if you
plan.
go over that.
They don't have to build it today or provide it today, but at such time it happens, they can still demonstrate compliance and eventually would have to provide additional parking.
Little king 10 years.
Yeah, the thought would be in 10 years, you have one development, like the study and potential parking garage, so. And we'll get a bite at that as well, because they'll have to come in and need more water, so there's potential for further annexation of those site plans, so. All this will be worked out as we continue to work with them and develop this campus.
And, the county and city will, have a good relationship, we're going to have a good relationship, but in all reality too, the county has a vested interest to make sure they have enough parking, because otherwise you're gonna have a lot of highly annoyed employees. And I would suggest that some of those employees are in positions to make things happen. So I think that, if it becomes a huge issue, it would be good.
So is the building would be all built at once or some kind of phasing? So it's not like some construction now and some later?
It would all be built at one time.
Let's talk about the elevations a little bit.
Yeah.
So, from, as far as a, design preference manual goes, we do appreciate the fact that there are different material types, also different roof lines. However, one of the things that we put as, that we would like to see is this continuation of here to connect. Here just feels like it would give just like a smoother finish, but that's just a part of the staff report that you'll see later. And then, but I do know that I think personally, I needed some explanation a little bit more about these pieces, because my mind was having a difficult time and I didn't know if it was based off of just because there's all the lines and everything on the drawing, or if maybe when we get, the next iteration of plans, it will be clearer. I didn't know, but I didn't know if also.
Let me just jump in and be a little bit blunt, because I deal in commercial real estate. And it certainly appears that the materials being used are nice and all that. And I don't know whether it's partly an issue with the rendering, but when I look at that elevation, it is a little I'm not quite sure. I think someone's trying to take something traditional, kind of give it a little bit of a modern flair. But when I look at that rendering, I'm not quite sure, I'll be quite frank, I'm not quite sure it works. You know what I mean?
I've seen better renderings of the internal and the external, but we've had some challenges. One of the challenges was there was an atrium that had to be enclosed because of an evap system, smoke evap system that was unworkable, that we had to redesign and enclose. I think what you're seeing on the continuation of the third floor elevation is there's some conference rooms and training rooms we want to bring natural light into. I think the architect was it, and that dictated the materials used, because you want to bring as much natural light into open space as possible. And instead of, if we continue to brick across, it would, and the other thing is we have like, on one of the floors and the other floors, we have like the functionals in cubes interiorly. So if you have that, you don't have the light coming through into those areas, and natural light through, which is like an open concept plan in the interior. So it's all function of how it works interior flow.
So what I'm trying to say is, and I don't want to hold up the approval or anything, but I do think it's one of the conditions I would like, because I would like to see it myself. I'd like to see a better rendering. Sure. Because I'm looking at that rendering and I'm like, it could work. But with the way, I don't know whether the way it's rendered,
Well, the architect has shown us better looking plans.
Yeah, this is not.
Right, and I'm sure that Mr. Bowers can get you something better to look at, which I've seen much better renderings of it, and you have to appreciate it also, not from the exterior, but how it impacts the interior.
Sure.
And
So, but quite frankly, I will say, just as someone who's approved plans for a lot of different stuff, I don't care. From our standpoint, I do care to a certain point, but our job as a planning and zoning commission is to care about the aesthetics of the outside. So what I'm saying is, when I look at these elevations, they might very well work. But I'm telling you, whoever, I have some questions like the windows, like they have windows and then they have a different color brick around them.
Well, they have shading on there too. And this is kind of difficult to pull out, but what they're trying to do is they have a glass area, but there's also shading part of the glass. So that one, it reduces the heat within the office. But the other thing is, from an outside perspective, people can't see what's going on inside. So I think that's somewhat part of the confusion that we'll have to talk to the architect about to get them to clarify.
It could be, sometimes when you take something that might work three-dimensionally and you try to show it on a flat plane,
Exactly what you're saying, because I've seen when they accepted the architectural proposal and the renderings I've seen that are in 3D are much livelier and better and attractive than what you're seeing.
So what I'm saying is, I don't want to hold anything up, but I do want staff, and I'd like to see it too, before we sign off on the Mylars and all that. I just want to get a better feel for those elevations, because they might very well work, but it is not totally clear to me by looking at that, because it kind of looks like something that could be great or might not, and I think partly it's because I'm looking at it.
I get that.
Yeah.
No, we can get you those.
Yeah, we have bi-weekly meetings with the architectural firm, and we'll convey these concerns. I'm sure they can get you a better meteor rendering, a more lively 3D rendering of what it is. Because like I said, I've seen the building itself in these renderings, and when I thought it is very attractive.
Okay, it looks, when you look at it, it looks much better.
It doesn't look like
Yeah.
a 50s Soviet cell.
This is where we are now.
Yeah.
Building is so, I mean, that drawing is so busy, there's so many lines and stuff, you don't get the true picture of what the building even looks like.
Right. Right, and I will tell you, we spend great care in these meetings, even, for instance, instead of just having a chain link thing for the dumpster or whatever, they're doing stone facing for the dump and all that stuff. This is a draft, this does no justice to what I've seen in the rendering. Okay, trust me. Okay.
John, you want to follow up? I would say some of the busyness of that drawing is, to your point, all the different lines and descriptions, so it kind of detracts from the overall appearance. And due to the nature of this use, it's not like we're just going out and building a 3-story office building. We were very deliberate in making sure that this building has, as best as we can, security measures. Both in terms of what's on the outside of the building, for the atrium area. Alan mentioned that we're looking at a different approach on the glazing to make sure that we can get the appropriate light, but we wouldn't have people outside viewing into the state's attorney's office, given the nature of what they do. Security played a large factor into the design as well.
Is that, there was a balcony of some sort, is that connected to that conference? You're talking about? Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
If you want, we have
have
renditions that kind of give you a better perspective.
Here.
Oh, yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, trust me, it's a lot sexier when you look at it.
Let's kind of give you a better perspective of that.
Because you're in a build justice. It does not do it justice.
Oh, okay, yeah.
See what I'm saying? See?
So everybody can see this. Yeah.
I don't think any of you had the benefit of seeing that, but.
No.
So you can get that to them, yes, this
Or, you know,
looks much better.
Did not.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
The mess.
Yeah,
So that's not really, the purpose of that is a site plan, not, this is.
That's just an elevation rendering, it's not what it'll look like in real life. That's
yeah, and that might even, and even that part that was referred to right here looks better here than it does there. Yeah, so if you could get us those kind of detailed drawings.
We'll get that to you all.
Yes, yeah, because no offense, when I was looking at this afternoon, I was like, I don't like those.
Yeah, that's what we were told to do, Joe.
Okay.
Not something like that.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'm sorry, I kind of.
Yeah, there's, well, just talking about the outstanding issues, which most of these have been, we talked about it already, the parking, the landscaping that we just don't know about based on that parking information, as well as, when we figure out, when we get the new drawings, we can figure out, that design preference manual, if we still want that line extended or what everything looks like, but.
One of the things, Andrea, we did do with trying to meet both city regs and county regs in the landscaping is providing certain type of street trees that would give you the street tree coverage. But then as part of the security, we actually have concrete planters that would be a barrier to the road, but then they would be landscaped with different types of plants and annual flowers and such, so you would have color with those planters, but then they also act as that.
It's a better option than dragon's teeth, like on the beaches in the.
Yeah, so.
It'll work.
So, we have up here, one thing I wanted to point out, just because I had talked about it earlier today. I just want to bring your attention whenever, it's not part of this discussion, but all of the work that was done for the water, to move water for this property and all the throughout the different years to make sure that they had everything that they needed for that, and that's all on page 7, so just wanted to point that out. Okay, so our recommendation is number 1, to continue working with staff to address landscaping requirements. We have a comment letter that'll be going out either tomorrow or earlier next week that addresses all of our other comments, but none of them are that substantive. So, but these are things that have to be part of that.
Sure.
To amend the south elevation, we can just say that we can, work with staff, about.
For final, I think we should make that more open-ended from the standpoint to provide staff with more detailed renderings.
Yes, and that is part of
for further review.
And that's part of the comment letter, it's already in the comment letter as well. And then to continue to working with staff to address the parking requirements, and then to address all remaining outstanding city and county comments prior to the submission of the signature set.
So just a question, so what is your timeline to see this go into construction?
This is one of the steps we need to get through. We are resubmitting our architecturals the end of this month for final review and permitting through the county's permits office. The next step is to get through the civil process, which is one of the civil comments is getting this approval. We're 90% through civil comments. We're working on our biggest item to address that we are addressing is stormwater management. So we're working with our own internal resource management folks and the consultant to make sure we're getting those issues addressed. And then we're hoping to go to bid late August, early September kind of timeframe. And then there's the overall bidding process, which it puts us in a time of year to start in like the worst time of year. It's starting in January, February. But in August, we're going to demo 2 buildings on that property and get that building pad kind of ready to go to start construction of the actual building.
I went past there today. It looks like it already started the demo.
Well, that's natural causes.
You want to talk about ugly?
All I can tell you, Tom, is that the latest schedule that came out says that we're looking at occupancy in like July of 25. I'd like to be in this building before I either leave office or kick the bucket, whichever comes.
Yeah, we're thinking, it's probably about an 18-month build out.
Does anyone have any other questions?
Do you have anything that you want to add that we haven't already discussed?
We've had a lot of discussion.
I think we hit really the key high points already, and we'll go ahead and get those revised renderings. Andrea and Mark, and get those to you. And part of this next resubmission for the set of comments is there's an exhibit to be submitted that will actually show where those 139 spaces will actually be. That drawing kind of gives you an overall, but from your perspective, not seeing it before, you really don't know where those spaces are going to occur. So this exhibit will show those spaces. The other thing that'll free up some parking, which is currently underway, is the sheriff's office is moving part of their operations out of what we call the roadway building, which is where the other parking is occurring. They're moving out of that space, if not this month, early August, to a building across 140.
August 1st, I heard.
August 1st. So again, not that was a lot of parking, but then it just frees up those spaces, so. But yeah, we're pushing to move forward and appreciate your consideration this evening.
Everybody's moving around.
If we're all good, I will go.
Only thing I want to ask, is there anyone online that you're aware that any?
Let's ask question.
We've got no comments or public requesting.
Appears that I'm the only one in the meeting.
This all right,
So I will go ahead and move that the Planning and Zoning Commission conditionally approve the site development plan S21-0003 pursuant to the City of Westminster zoning ordinance, Article 25, and based upon the July 20th, 2023 staff report, though with the modification, when we're talking about the elevation, really to provide better renderings for further comment, because staff might be okay with the way the elevation is. We just need to see better rendering.
Sure, we'll take it.
That's my motion.
all right, it's been moved. We have a motion,
A second.
and it's been seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you all.
So we're not holding you up.
Yeah.
Good luck with stormwater.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, now.
That's always the challenge, yeah.
Are there specific ones you guys are interested in?
Yeah. All of those. The south elevation. It's not in, that's the only one I saw.
Yeah, this is-
I don't know if there's any others.
Yeah, I haven't flipped through all of them, but yeah, if
So
you,
what we can do is we'll just provide them all to you.
that would be great.
Okay.
Yes.
That's really a whole different perspective than those things.
Yeah.
That's what sold the project, these kind of.
Yeah, this is a much more attractive looking.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's a nice looking building.
yeah, because you can get the sense of the 3D.
Right.
Well, when you use brick, it kind of ties that whole building back into a courthouse, the new courthouse and all that stuff. But yet, it's still kind of modern, the way the front looks there when you go in there. But that's why I like it. I think it's a really nice design.
I think that was the intent, and I think the architect specifically said they wanted to have it,
be involved with the rest of the courthouses and the atmosphere, but at the same time, have a little independence from the other buildings. So that's what they were shooting.
No, it looks much, on this, it looks much better.
And the part about security, you know, you don't really think about that, but then when you think about the business you're in.
Yeah, it drives everything, including we had to get a full size generator because we're public safety. So if something goes down, the whole thing has to be powered in an emergency, ingress, egress, all those.
And Tommy, I got my challenge going too, but.
Oh.
I always carry a challenge.
You like that?
Yeah, I love it.
Show him, show Dan up there. Who that is?
You gotta flip it over. Not us?
Yeah, 29th, you know?
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time.
See you, have a great night.
There's,
Thanks. Can we just get those directly to you and then you can.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, I'll make that call tomorrow, get those over to you. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
have a good night.
Have a good night.
Guess we may not have a county liaison report tonight.
He hasn't been here for a while.
That's what I said.
Yeah,
So I'll check in tomorrow and see.
hopefully he's okay.
Any other staff items or to discuss?
Raising Cane opened, staff got to visit Raising Cane, it was.
Well, a good day
They
to
were
study
great.
the traffic on
Yeah,
that.
Did you go to the opening that morning? I was not.
we went
We went for lunch.
we went for lunch.
Oh, you went for lunch, okay.
They're still open at 10 o'clock that night.
Yeah, it was, other people went later in the day and it was still just as packed.
It wasn't really designed for that.
It's
No
a
more
third,
professionals.
it's a third one in the state. I think they have 10 more, with total of 10 coming to the state with a third one.
Okay.
So were you all as staff happy? Because it's so, it's always interesting if you look at the plans and then see it actually built. Were you happy with the design when you were out at the site and actually seeing it physically, how it all came together?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay,
But the materials were nice, the design was nice, the interior is really nice as well. They carried a lot of that into the space,
so it looks good.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And they did a really good compromise between what was required on the plan as well as what the county was requiring for stormwater and things like that. Like, they had to move the sign just a little bit. You know, when I went out for a final inspection, the guy was explaining that county required this drainage and that, you know, so they had to maneuver, but they really made it look nice.
Yeah. From a distance, I haven't been up close, but just from the distance of the intersection, it looks attractive. But I very much want to see, because it's always neat to be able to see the plans, but then actually see the reality of it. You know, as a neat thing.
And we also went and got Slurpees on 7-Eleven for at the new 7-Eleven. So we've just been going all over.
Yeah.
Just trying to-
that's what we're supposed to do. We have to get out there, you know, make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
It's a place to get pick up a new car.
I will say, one of the nice things is that I've noticed is a lot of the newer development that's happening around town looks attractive. You know, so I think we're doing a good job as a planning commission and as planning staff of making sure that we get a physical product that looks good to the community. And I do think that's, to me, I think that's really important. So,
And we are, it's because of this, because of planning commission approvals of the CFT Plaza and Raising Cane and even the 7-Eleven with better architecture design, new plans coming in already are better. So they know that architecture is gonna be better, so it's
builds on itself.
yeah, it just builds on itself and it just, yeah. So it's getting better.
Wonderful.
All right. Any member comments? All right. We have a motion.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
We're adjourned.